acquired guard Drew Holiday from the Blazers in a blockbuster deal one day before media day.
I feel like coming here is definitely my best chance of winning and being able to help the guys here that have made big moves and done great things in this league. So I'm here to really just help step up that game and become a champion.
Make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen. Boston Celtics are the team to beat in the Eastern Conference, if not the entire NBA.
Even though it's been a whirlwind, it's been exciting too, to get to land on a team of this caliber, to be able to compete and try to win a championship. Just know that it's not sweet over here, that we want to win.
Yo, what is good, Celtics Nation? Welcome back to the podcast, guys. Episode 5, the KG episode is here. The preseason training camp has come, and now it's gone. We are officially, less than a week away from opening night when we take on the Knicks. But in this episode, we kind of want to break down the last 2 games. We took on the Knicks, we took on the Hornets, and overall, we saw a lot of good things from the Celtics team throughout preseason. We're kind of going to break down what we saw and why we think that the Celtics are on pace or, at the level of, not a lot of teams are at right now. So I'm excited, but Ricky, we just took on the Knicks on Tuesday, the Hornets on Thursday, and things looked really, really good. In my opinion, listen, I don't want to overreact, and I'm not one to overreact, but listen, I'm gonna overreact right now because the Celtics have looked the best that I've ever seen in a long time, and I get it. It's preseason, but man, everything looks good. How are you feeling right now before we jump into some of the stats and stuff?
I feel if listen, man, it's been quality basketball, but I'm not gonna overreact. I know you tell me you're not the one to overreact, but I've definitely caught you overreacting before, and I'm gonna say right now that I am not gonna overreact. I am not downplaying what they're doing. I'm not saying what they're doing isn't legit, but I'm going to pump the brakes because this is preseason basketball. I'm not going to get overly excited. There is one player I am getting overly excited about, which I feel like is just rightfully so. But as a team, as a whole, I mean, I feel like my expectation, though, is so high already that when I'm seeing these preseason games with teams like the Hornets and like the Knicks, just teams that are so far beneath us in talent and in every way, shape, and form. I mean, we should dust teams like this all season long. So and hopefully we go into the regular season, they're doing exactly this. So I can feel good about it and not have these 1-2 possession games with teams that just quite frankly just can't even hold our jockstrap. So hopefully it's a situation where we're looking at this all season long, but I'm not going to get overly excited, man, because I think at the end of the day, it is preseason, especially the Knicks game, because as we saw game 1 against the Knicks, it was their first versus our second. I was actually, as mentioned in the previous episode, very impressed about that. It was kind of role reversed on this next go around, where we weren't really getting as much as of the stars for the Knicks, regardless of how many they lack. But still, you weren't getting the caliber of play you were getting from them the first time around, and then obviously we played more of our starters against the Knicks the second go around, because as you know, all those starters rested in game 2 of the preseason on their first matchup.
Yeah, so I mean, let's talk about the second matchup. Now, like you said, they didn't play their starters, but we saw a lot of our stars. Those guys played like 30 minutes. Tatum played 30, Jalen played 30, and then Drew Holiday and Porzingis played about 28, 29 minutes. So this is what we're going to see. I mean, and they looked really, really good. The ball movement was something I really love to see. Tatum had 4 assists. Drew Holiday had 4 assists. Jaylen Brown had 6 assists. Peyton Pritchard had 4 assists. The ball was moving, and that was something that I've noticed a ton over the preseason, not just this game, but the entirety, everyone, even the second, the third unit, the guys are playing unselfish, and I don't know if I've ever seen the Celtics play this, cohesive as a team. It's not just about Jason. It's not just about Jalen. These guys want to get other guys involved, and quite frankly, it's working at a very high level. The spacing has been phenomenal. I mean, Porzingis, you did mention a guy. You said a guy's been really, showing you a lot so far. Is it Porzingis?
Yeah, man, it's Porzingis. I mean, he's just doing everything I want him to do. I mean, the looks this guy's getting. He's getting looks where, I mean, I guess you want to give me this open 3. Shit, I'll take it. You know what I mean? And I think that's going to be for him, available to him all season long, because how can you not make Tatum and Brown your primary targets if you're a defense, right? So you're going to be getting Kristaps in positions to shoot those shots. And obviously the expectation is that he makes those shots, and he has. Obviously my concern is, and I'm sure a lot of people's concern is health and longevity. But if we can overlook that and say in a perfect world that he is, if he's hitting shots at this sort of clip, which I think is well over 60%, in some respects, I think I think I read somewhere for the season, he's shooting around 60%.
Oh, the preseason?
Yeah, so far.
I think he's shooting 60% from the field and like 63% from the three-point line. Something crazy.
There you go. So if you're doing that and you're healthy, I mean, I don't know who's going to stop. Who's stopping that? Dude, who's going to beat you in a 7-game series?
That's what makes me so excited, Ricky, is he's going to be an X factor. I know you want to say Jalen. I know you want to say Jason, but if you look and watch these games and see what Porzingis, the small things that he's doing, all he does is set a screen. He can either pop or he can roll to the basket. But you know how much stress that causes defenses? Do they double team Jason Tatum, the ball handler, which you're going to have to do? Jalen Brown, same thing. You're going to have to double him off the screen because you need to make sure it doesn't have a wide open lane. But also what that does is it's going to have someone rotate to Porzingis if he pops to the 3-point line. But what that does is leave someone wide open in the corner. It's almost unstoppable for teams to try and, defend this. I mean, I don't know how teams are going to do it. And as of right now, every time Porzingis sets a screen, I expect someone to be open. And the good thing about the Celtics, Brad Stevens, the front office, did such an amazing job surrounding our guys, or surrounding with the team with just shooters. I mean, Tatum can shoot. Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jalen Brown, Sam Hauser, Al Horford, Peyton Pritchard. All of those guys, with 8 people, 8-man rotation, all of those guys can shoot the 3-ball. And if you leave any of them open, you're going to pay. So I think Porzingis, hopefully they can shoot. Hopefully they can be consistent with it. But from what we've seen, they've been pretty good. Sam Hauser has been very up and down, but I expect him to maybe heat up here.
Better overall the last 2 games. That statistically didn't wow me on the stat sheet in the last game, but better presence, better court presence. Seems to fit. Maybe he was struggling finding his mode, his way into
and that's going to happen.
For sure. When you're adding new pieces, I mean, he's on a team that's added a couple of big pieces and is chopped severely into his regular season minutes. So I don't expect everybody to kind of be jiving and gelling the way maybe Sam hasn't. But like you said, you're going to have guys open. It's going to come down to taking the open 3. I would say the things that kind of separates this team in comparison to some other teams is, prior to this, you had an open Grant, an open Marcus taking threes. And now you're going to have an open Porzingis, an open White, an open Pritchard, an open Holiday.
Yep.
Right. So now the caliber of shooter is obviously greater than what the caliber of shooter was last season. So, but again, this is the expectation. This is why I'm wearing the 07-08 jersey, because this is my expectation, which is championship banner 18. And anything less to me, if this team is healthy, is a fucking failure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. From what I've seen in the preseason, Ricky, I mean, I'm all in. I think this is the best team that we've had. Maybe not on paper, because that Kyrie team with Gordon Hayward, Jason, that team was stacked on paper. But this team, as a team, is chemistry-wise is the best thing I've ever seen. And they've played, 3 full games together? I mean, I wouldn't even say full games. They've barely even played together. So things are only going to get better from here, and what I've seen is amazing. Like I said, the ball movement. I've never seen the Celtics, use this ball movement since Rondo is here. The unselfishness. No one's forcing up shots anymore. I'm not seeing it a ton. The spacing has been amazing. We're still going to shoot a bunch of threes. That was something last year. A lot of Celtics fans were like, listen, stop shooting so many threes if they're not falling. I think they're going to fall this year. And if they don't, I want Joe Mazzulla and this coaching staff to be able to decipher when to attack different spots of the floor. Hopefully they can do that. I haven't seen it too much because, quite frankly, the threes have been falling in preseason so far. Last game, they weren't amazing, but we still blew out the Hornets. The defense, Ricky, you were someone who was kind of like not happy about the defense last year, took a major step back. But dude, yesterday's game was crazy. They had what? I forgot how many steals. How many steals the Celtics have yesterday? They had a bunch. Let me look real quick. 22. 22 steals and 6 blocks. That
Yeah.
is 28 forced turnovers. They were playing full court press. They were mixing in a little bit of zone at times, which is confusing the Hornets. And they were just doing smart double teams on some of the young guys like Brandon Miller, the second pick overall from last year. They were double teaming at times. He had like 4 turnovers himself. The Celtics defense looks so much better, and they're communicating. Everyone's moving. They're talking. I mean, dude, the defense looks like it's back. Again, am I overreacting?
It's hard to tell. It's hard because, I don't want to poo-poo it because, I want to see it. So what am I going to say? Hey, I'm glad you're playing defense, but chill out. It's the preseason. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like I need to see regular season games. I need, ask me this question 20 games in. I know we got a show to do, but I'm just saying, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not really so much about what they're doing now. It's what they're going to continue to do and how disciplined they can stay doing it. Because I feel like during the first half of the season last year, and by first half, I mean prior to All-Star break, I feel like they did put a little bit more of an emphasis on defense than they did the second half of the season. So not that they're at this caliber. I would agree that on paper, if I'm just passing you the eye test, this is by far better defense than what they were playing. Forget regular season, postseason last year. I mean, they're playing in an aggressive way that hopefully is the new coaching staff implementing their processes into Joe Mazzulla. Hopefully it's Joe Mazzulla being now into his full year. So now he's a more experienced coach. Hopefully he takes the stuff that he learned last season and applies it to this season, and he's not making the same mistakes twice. All these things are things I want to see. All these things are in a perfect world, but we know we don't live in that world always, Fub. So I gotta just, again, pump the brakes. I want to see it. I'm happy to see it, but I'm not going to get my hopes up because I just feel like this is going to be a live by the 3, die by the 3 team. And I'll tell you what, if we can play some hard teams and win 88-92, 88-95.
Dude, if you're holding this team to 88 points, you're insane.
97, even like 97, 99, like a real offensive team that is a solid team. If you're doing those type of things against some of the tougher opponents, maybe the basket's not falling in. Maybe it's just not your night. The team's just not putting the ball in the basket. But hey, we can lock up on defense. Let's lock these guys up. And let's just win just by having that presence, getting some turnovers, getting some points off turnovers, and executing that way. I want to see that because I feel like those type of games sometimes happen with more quality opponents because sometimes when guys, the best teams in the league, a lot of times are going to live and die by the 3. Yeah. Unless you're Denver, which in most cases they're so versatile, they don't do that. But teams like Golden State, teams certain, I don't know. Obviously Milwaukee won't be that team because they have Giannis, but there's a lot of good teams that will live and die by the 3. You'll see a lot of that with like Atlanta, Golden State, like I've mentioned before, and some of these other squads that, I know the Lakers get a little 3 happy too from time to time. So I definitely just want to see when balls aren't falling into the basket, guys locking up, guys playing quality defense. And I think it'll be an improvement, but to be honest, it's not saying much because I felt like it was so piss poor last year that the only reason why we did as well as we did in the second half of the season is because offense was so superior that it didn't really matter if they played defense or not because they were going to outscore you regardless.
Yeah, no, I agree. But the defense, from what I've seen, it looks really good. And, speaking of defense, I think that we have the best defensive backcourt in all of the NBA. Do you think I'm a little bit crazy saying that? I just think Derek White and Drew Holiday are, I think they're the best 2 guards.
On paper, you do, yes.
Yeah, I think so. And then the versatility of Jalen and Jason.
Scheme is gonna matter, but I think on paper you do. And Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have already been proven that when they want to play defense, they will play defense.
Yeah, and they came out in training camp in the media day, whatever. They said, listen, we want to be all defensive first team, even second team. They want to do that. And if they somehow make an all defensive team, you have Derek White and Drew Holiday, who, quite frankly, I believe will be on a team no matter what. There's no way they don't. unless there's injury or something like that. And then you have Porzingis in the back, man, and this dude's been getting blocked. He's been playing the passing lanes well. Dude, all these guys can defend at a high level. I'm starting to kind of feel bad for some offenses like, the Magic and the Hornets. Some of these teams that we go against, I just feel like they're going to struggle to get anything going. Kind of like what we saw yesterday at the Hornets. They were not doing anything. But yeah, I will say everything, and I mean everything, has looked better in terms of our team in the preseason. It has.
For sure has. And it's obvious, but it's a long season. So yeah. I gotta see this in, when we're, hopefully we're starting the season off 20-4, 20-5. I want to see those type of runs from them. And I want to see, because they're better. They're so much better than 90% of the league. Like, who's really better than them? Like, you could make the case. You can make the case Milwaukee. You can make the case Phoenix. How many times a year do we play Phoenix?
Twice.
Do we play? Maybe. Yeah, right. Maybe twice.
Maybe.
So, and then you got the teams that, you have injuries and guys are going to be out. And so you're going to lose those games and stuff like that. But with a healthy team, like if you're starting the season off and your whole squad is playing the first 25 games of the season, I didn't look at the whole schedule, but how do we lose 5 games? How do we lose 6 or more games in a 20-game stretch? I don't see it because there's not those many teams better than us. I mean, Milwaukee probably gets 1 or 2 on us. I mean, are we even seeing Milwaukee for the first generous part of the season? I don't have the schedule memorized, but I feel like it's not even a team like we see a whole lot of. Like we probably play them 3-4 times a season, and I feel like they save a lot of those for like, end of the season. Let's see how the playoffs, the rankings are going to shake out. Do these games matter? Crucial, seeding games that they like to do, which obviously makes it an enjoyable product because you got something to play for. So look, I just want to see them do it at a high level all the time. Yeah. I don't want to see it once and then take 4 games off. I don't want to even see them do it twice and take 2 games off. I want to see it all the time. And you're going to have a bad game. I'll give you a pass for that, but I got to see it consistently. And until then, I just got to go off of what I've been seeing, which is just, Missoula just didn't get it last year. And so I'm hoping that it gets it this year. But again, man, I'm just not taking the cheese as much as you're taking it. But I'm happy to see it. I'm glad they're not just I'm glad they're just not phoning it in for preseason and being like, well, it's preseason. Who really cares? It's like they clearly are, trying to do something, trying to establish a chemistry and trying to establish offense, pick and rolls, getting guys open, already scheming. So it's all things you want to see with lower level competition. So
just show it at a higher level.
Correct. So it's on lower level competition. So my expectations are just kind of hindered just because based off of A, the level of competition we're playing with, and then B, I got to see this shit all the time. I can't be seeing it once and then y'all take 3 weeks off. I can't, that's not going to work.
Yeah, the one thing I'm real concerned about, I mean, maybe not concerned is the right word, but looking forward to seeing is our second halves. So many times last year, and I've said this before, we'd go up by 18 in the first half, go up by 23 in the first half, and then suddenly in the fourth quarter, it's a 2-point game. That needs to stop. We need to come out in the third quarter, up 20, down 20, whatever it may be, come out with your same energy and just come out here and continue to pound the table, put your foot on the gas pedal, and get him out the game by the fourth quarter. Make it a 35-point game. I'm done seeing it being
step on their throat, man.
Yeah,
Killers.
That's what I'm saying. We need to be able to do that. And if you don't have that, then are you really a contender? Because I don't know.
It's a great point, Fubs, and I've talked about this in the past, but you nailed it, man. This is the shit that I'm talking about. This third quarter, come out lackadaisic, give up a 14-point lead, type of shit that we saw last season for a good part of the season, not just the postseason. We obviously notice it more in the postseason because it's apparent when we're up on a Miami team and then we blow a significant lead, or you're up on a Golden State team 2 years ago and you blow a significant lead to take a lead in the series, which might have put them out of reach. But we just saw it time and time again, and this is, again, an Ime problem. We've seen this over the course of 2 years. These guys come out flat for whatever reason. I don't know what kind of activity they're getting into in the locker room at halftime, but they got to switch up that energy and stay on their heels, man, because they constantly come out so flat and so just – like almost like they already got it in the bag. And I couldn't agree more. I think that's a great point.
Well, what we're going to talk a little bit later on about is the coding staff. We do have some new guys in there, and I think they could help. We'll talk about that in a minute. Before we get any further, guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're going to have a podcast coming out each week. I'm going to be posting post-game episode or post-game videos about the Celtics, so make sure you guys join the family for nonstop Celtics content all year long and for the foreseeable future. And also comment down below who has been the most surprising player that you've seen in the preseason so far. But with that being said, I think it's time we take a look into the roster. Now, we have about 21 guys right now, I believe, on the roster, but that's going to have to be cut down to, I believe, 15, 13, standard contracts, then I think two ways. So, real quickly, guys, we're going to go through and give our predictions. Now, we're going to start with the guard position. I'll start with the guards. I'll give you my 4 guys I have, and then you'll go your 4 guys. So I think this is going to be pretty similar. I feel like we're going to have a pretty similar roster here, but we'll see. So obviously, Drew Holiday, Derek White, those are going to be two starters, so they're going to be here. And then Peyton Pritchard just got re-signed. He's going to be here for sure. And then my last guard I have on my team, I only have 4. I have Delano Banton. I think Delano Banton, tall point guard. He's lengthy, can pass the ball. Hasn't looked amazing in the preseason, but we went out. We signed him to a 2-year deal. I think 2 years, $4 million is what he's making, only 23 years old. Has potential. If he could bulk up a little bit, work on his shooting, I think this guy could be a solid role player, maybe in a couple years from now. But do you have anyone else different in your point guard list or your guard list?
I don't. I actually had my very first 4 listed here, and it is Holiday, PP, White, and Banton. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think those are just the 4 guys who have looked good. I think, who are we not mentioning? We're not mentioning J.D. Davidson. Listen, he's on a 2-way contract. He could still be here, but I just don't see. I've seen nothing. If I'm being honest, I think he's a good passer, not much of a scorer. Everybody, I'm telling you, everybody loves J.D. Davidson. Celtics fans are always in the streams saying, we need to see J.D. Davidson. Where J.D.? They want to see him. I just don't know what he brings at this point. I can see a future with him. Like, I can see potential. I just don't know what he adds right now. So he's going to be gone, I think. You have
typical Celtics fans falling in love with fringy mid players. I mean, he's a player you can go up to Maine and watch him play. He does nothing for me.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I love his passing ability, and I think he's a pest defensively. I think offensively, he's just not ready at the NBA level yet.
He's a good player, man, but there's levels to this. You can't, not everybody is at the caliber of talent. Can we just call him? He's fine. He's okay. He's a development player. Maybe he pop. Can you just sign him back to Maine and maybe reevaluate him next season? Maybe another year in that league will develop him a little bit better. We've seen that where guys, spend a couple of years in that development cycle and then they come into the league and they can groom, but this team's way too deep at the guard level. It's funny because 3 weeks ago we weren't saying that, but now with the addition of Drew, we find ourselves in a very, very deep.
And the emergence of Peyton Pritchard for sure.
And Delano Banton's kind of nice, man. I kind of like his game.
He's growing on you, huh?
Yeah, he is. He is growing on me. He was a fringy. He might be in my label here for the 2-way. I do have 2 other players. I think we're gonna see on that 2-way contract. At the 14-15 spot over the other 2. But I think he squeaks by. But he's grown on me. Let's be honest. He's gonna play blowouts and maybe
injuries.
4 minutes at the end of games, and he's going to play a very diminished role, and you're rarely going to see him. I mean, he's going to be, if you're starting 13 guys, he's probably 12. So let's just be honest about this.
Okay, so let's move on to the wings now because we named 4 for the guards. Who do you have for the wings? I'll let you start with this one. I think we're going to have a similar list, but let's see what you have to say.
I mean, obviously, Brown and Tatum would be my 2 wings. So I like for my wings, and this was kind of tough because I saw a couple of things that I liked, but I liked Stevens.
Lamar Stevens, he had a great game yesterday versus the Hornets.
I'm gonna go Hauser Stevens.
Hauser Stevens is 4.
Yep, and
I have a good amount of guys here.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, Walsh, so Walsh is interesting for me because he he's a wing, and I think he's going to make the roster, but I wouldn't be surprised if they send him to Maine.
He's on a 4-year standard deal. I don't know if that can translate into a 2-way contract, but
interesting.
Yeah, they signed him to a 4-year deal.
Okay, either way, I got him on the roster. I think he'll be in a similar situation as Banton this year. You'll see him play, 8, 12 minutes in games that don't matter, or just games where guys are hurt and, hey, we're blowing out a team by 40. Hey, go ahead in there, go show me something. And the guy goes in, makes a couple splashes. Celtics fans get all hot and bothered over something, a game that doesn't matter. And then we can talk about it on the next podcast. So I do have him making the team, though. I didn't know if he was on the standard contract or if they granted him the 2-way. But obviously that would be, and it's fine because I have 2 other players that I was going to say are probably going to be on that 2-way deal. So those are the 5 that I have. I got 5.
You have 5? Okay. So you got Jalen, Jason, Sam Hauser, Jordan Walsh, and Lamar Stevens?
Correct.
Okay. So I actually have 7 guys here. I have 7 guys for the wing position, just because the bigs I have here, I don't really know what's going to happen with the bigs. We don't have too many that I love. So
I got quite a few power forward centers that I think are going to offset what you're offering me. Yeah, I think that's why you're not seeing it.
Okay, so my wings are Jalen, Jason, obviously Sam Hauser, Lamar Stevens, Jordan Walsh. Those are the guys you said, and those are guys who I kind of like. I also could see a world where Lamar Stevens might not make it. I feel like he wasn't amazing at times. Other times he was good. The last game he was really good, but wasn't consistent. I do like his defense. I like his, tenacity. I like the way he grabs rebounds, hustles. I like that about him. I don't know if he makes a team. I think he will. But I also have O'Shea Brissett. This is a guy they went out. They signed him to a 2-year deal. And I think he was one of the main guys they actually signed at a free agency, him and Delano Banton, before training camp. And I like O'Shea Brissett because he's a very versatile defender. He's like 6'8", very lengthy. I think he could be that Grant Williams replacement. Now, I will maybe not agree because you didn't say it, but O'Shea Brissett has not looked good offensively, has not hit his free throws, has not hit any threes that, at a consistent level by any means. But I do think that he has potential. He's shown flashes in the past with the Pacers. He was okay with the Raptors when he was on their G League team, whatever. But I just like his defensive prowess, and I do think he could be a Grant Williams replacement when you go up against a Giannis or you go up against one of those big guys, big wings. I think he could help on the defensive side of the ball. So I do like his ability to do that. I think he could make the team, especially because he was already signed to a 2-year deal. And then last,
I actually had him listed at 15 and I missed him. So that's my bad. I had him too. I knew I was missing somebody.
Okay, O'Shea Brissett. Okay, and then my last guy is my last wing here is I don't know how this is gonna work or if it's gonna happen, but Svi Mykhailiuk. I just am I love the way he shoots the ball, man. I mean, he can catch it here and shoot it perfectly. I like Svi Mykhailiuk. I think he won't play. I don't know if he's eligible for a 2-way contract, but I would throw him on there if possible if he doesn't get scooped up by another team. But I like the way he shoots the ball. He's 6'7", lengthy. I do think he could make the team. I think he's actually been a little bit better than Sam Hauser in terms of shooting ability.
I would agree, and just his overall ability to get up. But I actually had Svi and O'Shea in my 2-way space at 14 and 15. In other words, the last 2 guys to make it on the roster. I didn't bring it up with the wings just simply because I was kind of like, hey, these are my starting guards. This is my starting forwards. And then these are the 2 guys I think will be kind of like fringy 2-way players. I don't know if you can sign a guy on a contract like they did O'Shea and then send him down to develop, but I'm not a contract aficionado. I don't know exactly how that stuff works. So I think Svi will be a 2-way player. I do see him on a 2-way contract. I like him. He can fly, and he has had moments of ability too. So we actually have pretty much an agreement on all these. Then I just kind of capped it off with Porzingis, Cornette, Horford, and Keita. He played great. The other night against the Hornets. Keita was the most impressive lock-in that I watched the other night.
Yeah, so he had 12 points, 7 rebounds, but get this, 5 of those were offensive rebounds. He was on the offensive glass, which is amazing, had a steal, and was a plus 18 overall, up there with some of the big guys on the roster. I think I'm very similar to you. However, I have Porzingis, Big Al, Keita, or Keto, however you say his name, I have him on a two-way deal. I think he's going to be a two-way player. I think they're going to give the nod to Cornet at first glance. And then I think, honestly, I think midway through the season, I think they might make a change. I think Keita not only has the energy, but he has the he's a tenacious rebounder. He's going to go out and get you some rebounds. He's going to make the big time plays defensively. I think he might be the third best center on this team, but I don't think they're going to give it to him right away. I think Cornet's been here longer. I think, a little bit older. How old is Cornet now? Probably like 27. Let me see. 28. He's 28 right now. They're going to give it to Cornet. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But I do think Keita is a guy who I think could start making some noise, and maybe like halfway through the season or whatnot, he's definitely going to make the team. I would be surprised if not. I think he just had that good of a game versus the Hornets.
So we have the same lineup. Just I would say my 14-15 guy would be Svi and O'Shea. Those would be the guys I think that just barely make the bottom of the roster. Maybe they send up to develop. Again, I don't know the ins and outs of those contracts, if they can, hey, cut you and then put you on a new contract, which I don't see why they couldn't. But those are the guys. I think Keita, just because of our lack of play at the 5, I wouldn't be surprised if he's like 12, 13.
Yeah, like right at the end.
Right at the end of the rotation on a regular basis, just because Al Horford gets banged up, you're going to have a much smaller rotation. And so, and there's probably going to be times where you're going to see Al and Porzingis on at the same time. It wouldn't surprise me. So, it's definitely an opportunity where either Cornet's going to get called up as the quote unquote backup center, or you're going to see this kid get pulled up and get an opportunity to play. Personally, I liked his presence on the court better than I like Cornet's presence. But I mean, at the end of the day, Cornet's been here longer, and so he's adapted a little bit more into the system. So either way, I'm good with it. I don't necessarily love both players, but I think that for like 7-8 minute rotation pieces in games, again, that don't matter, I think they're fine.
Yeah, so that leaves a couple of guys on the outside for us. Wayne Gabriel just didn't get too much playing time. Listen, I liked him in LA for the Lakers last year. He was pretty damn good. I'm not gonna lie. He was an energy guy. He was really good for the Lakers. I liked him over there. J.D. Davidson also on the outside looking in. Comment down below right now. I know a lot of you guys love J.D. Davidson. Do you think J.D. Davidson makes a roster? Comment down below, yes or no. Who else do we have on the outside here? DJ Stewart. I think we signed him at a Duke, I believe. Maybe he gets a main deal. Jay Scrubb, he looked really good in the preseason, or not the preseason, the summer league, but he unfortunately tore his ACL. He'll be out for this season, so don't really got to count him in there. And I think that's it. I think the rest of the guys we either have here or on a two-way contract. So I don't mind that that 15-man roster if that is what it's going to be. But real quickly, Ricky, we've seen some starting lineups here. We've seen Drew come off the bench. We've seen Big Al come off the bench. Who do you think should be the starting 5 right now? Because in my opinion, I'm going to go Drew. I'm going to go Derek, Jalen, Jason, and Porzingis. I think having Al come off the bench will keep him fresh. I think it'll maybe allow him to play back-to-backs. And I think it's good for him getting up there in age. What do you think about the?
Yeah, I mean, not to make this super uninteresting, but I also have that lineup. Drew, White, Brown, Tatum, Porzingis. That's pretty much going to be the starting lineup. It seems like that's the way they want to do it. Especially with the stepping up of Peyton Pritchard, I feel like they're going to feel more comfortable, not worrying about, can Derek White give us that support off the bench? I feel like they feel like this team can be deep enough where they don't need that from him, that he can come in and be, kind of a guy that, quite frankly, also you don't want to leave open in certain scenarios. He'll make you pay for that. And, yeah, man, I think defensively, this is some of the most. This lineup is defensively, honestly, a cheat code. I don't know how you allow this to happen. All 5 players are known for being good defenders. 2 of them in particular, 3 of them in particular, Porzingis, White, and Holiday, and then it just matters whether Tatum and Brown want to participate or not. If they want to participate,
and if they do.
Yeah, if you want to participate, I mean, this like you said, they want an all NBA defensive team. I mean, that would be wild. I mean, to have all five
Yeah.
guys be in some category in that defensively. I mean, that would be, I don't even, has that even happened before? I mean,
I don't
it
think
would
so.
be reminiscent. It would be reminiscent to me of like '04 Pacers when they won the title not Pacers. I'm sorry. Pistons. The
Pistons,
'04
yeah.
Pistons when they won the title that year, just not based off of sheer talent, but just overall defensive grit and just, that type of dog mentality that those players had. They weren't the most talented team, but they played great defense. And obviously they had shooters and guys that can make plays. But that's kind of what that reminds me of in my era of basketball, watching the game. And so if they can bring that into the fold here and be like that type of team where they're just so gritty defensively, I mean, this might be the most entertaining, the funnest team. I mean, I remember those Kyrie Celtics. I'm like, this team's so unwatchable. It's so unlikable.
Yeah,
Can't stand these guys' ego. They didn't play as a team. Everybody wanted too many. We had Terry here. We had Kyrie. And then Hayward's mad about this and that. And I remember just thinking, like, man, this, like, I miss like the Rozier. Rozier and Tatum and Brown taking LeBron to Game 7 when he still played for the Cavs.
That was fun.
So much fun.
Yeah.
Even though we lost, it was incredibly, incredibly fun. And so I'm hoping that's what we're going to see this year. Above all else, to see quality, fun basketball.
No, I think that's what we're going to get. I mean, if the regular season is anything, anything like we saw in the preseason, this will be the best Celtics season that I have seen in a very long time. And I've never come into or watched a preseason and been like, wow, this team is miles ahead of where they were last year. And I didn't really, listen, when we added Porzingis, when we added Drew Holiday, I was probably the most happy, but I didn't expect it to be this good. I really didn't. And again,
and make sure you spend the regular season with Fubbies on his live stream, and I'll be in the comments talking shit. You can feel free to chime in on me as well. I'm gonna be talking shit all season in the comments section. Be sure to get on that live stream with Fubbies during the regular season.
Yeah, and Ricky might even make some guest appearances, talking in the live stream, maybe at halftime, or maybe even watch a game with us. We'll see what happens.
I might.
But real quickly, Ricky, before we head off here and end episode 5, I real quickly just want to briefly talk about the coaching staff. Last year, it was in question. A lot of guys left. Damon Stoudemire went to college, whatever. We lost Ime's coaching staff. All followed him to Houston. So we were left with pretty much nothing. Joe Mazzulla, I was like, God, this could get even worse with Joe Mazzulla. But he goes out, brings in Sam Cassell, former 08 champion. Charles Lee, a veteran head coach, very well respected around the league. And then more recently, Jeff Van Gundy surprised me. I was like, weird. But he has experience. He's a veteran. He kind of knows. He knows what he's doing. We can all agree on that.
Olympic teams he's coached on and things.
Yeah.
People say he's been out of basketball forever, but just not NBA basketball. I mean, he's been tied into the Olympic sport for quite a bit of time. I think his role is mainly going to be player development. The thing I like about this move is they're thinking beyond this year. And what he does is he gives you that edge from a consultant, because he's just coming in as a consultant. I think his consulting is going to be less coaching and more about player development
and scouting.
The next, because our window is now. So what we need is good developmental pieces over the next 3 seasons, because in a perfect world, man, who doesn't want to win two out of 3? You know what I mean? Because think about that. If you're in that window and you have the ability to do that, like you got Porzingis, Tatum, and Brown on these contracts right now. Obviously, Tatum's going to be getting a new contract sooner rather than later. They're talking about, keeping Drew Holiday here for the long term. So now you're talking about a 3 to 4 year window where you have to win as many as you can before maybe having to hit the reset button. And obviously we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I think what he offers you as a consultant is the ability to develop some of these young guys, some guys in-house, and also some guys that just maybe they haven't spotted yet. And maybe he's got a better eye for that, bringing them in here, developing them, getting them ready. So 2-3 years down the road, they're providing valuable minutes for this team.
Yeah, I really do. Now that I'm thinking about it, I do like the fact that we signed him as a consultant. But what I really like and what I'm really even seeing a difference, Sam Cassell. I don't know what it is, but this dude motivates guys. And we saw it last year in Philadelphia. The man took Tyrese Maxey from here to here. He kept James Harden in that team. And now we're seeing James Harden is not even going to practice. He's not even showing up to games. He's not even calling the coach back. I mean, Sam Cassell was the glue for the Sixers. And I think I'm starting to see that rub off here in Boston. I mean, it looks like all of our guys are motivated. They're trying on every single possession, and they're staying in tune with the game throughout the entirety of it. So I think Sam Cassell is going to be probably one of the best pickups of all the offseason in terms of coaching. And he's just an assistant. It sort of feels like we have two head coaches on this team right now. And, I real quickly before we head out, I really just want to Brad Stevens, man. Brad Stevens. What a year for Brad Stevens. If he doesn't win GM of the year, depending on how we do, I will be shocked. You add Porzingis, you add Drew Holiday, you bring in all these new coaches and just look at what's turning out to be so far. I mean, it looks amazing. Brad Stevens did an amazing job, and hopefully we can find a sense of consistency in the regular season, because if we do, like Ricky said, this is going to be a fun season, scary season, terrifying season for other teams, because how do you stop a team like this, man? How?
You don't. You just hope they're not healthy enough to compete at the end of the season. You don't stop a team like this,
Yeah.
and with the roster they have accumulated, and with the staff that they have, this is a season of high expectations. I think really just comes down to Tatum and Brown stepping up to be those guys. I think if they're those guys, I think you're holding up banner 18 at the end of the season, but it's a big if, so they got to deliver on it.
Yep. So, guys, in the comment section down below, real quick, comment down below. What do you guys think about the preseason? Who looked good? Who didn't look good? And also, comment down below, who are some dark horses you think could actually make the roster? Obviously, me and Ricky agreed. J.D. Davidson could be gone. Wayne Gabriel could be gone. Some other guys could be tossed out as well. Who do you guys think could potentially make this team? If anyone else, or if you agree with us, comment down below that as well. And then make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family. We are creating a Celtics family on this channel, so make sure you are part of it. But with that being said, we'll see you in the next podcast. Remember, podcast drop every single Saturday, and live streams as well. So join the family, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Peace.
Beautiful. 41 minutes.